You won't believe the story we're about to get into. Let me tell you, it starts off like a dream, but takes a turn that nobody saw coming. We all knew Marques Houston as Roger from Sister Sister, the funny, slightly annoying neighbor who kept getting kicked out with that classic line, "Go home, Roger." But what if I told you that behind all those laughs was a life filled with pain, hustle, and controversy that would later shake the internet? This is how it began. Marques Houston was born on August 4th, 1981 in Los Angeles, California. But life didn't give him a fair start. At just 15, he lost his mother to lymphoma. That kind of loss can break a person, especially someone that young. But Marques didn't stop. Destiny took an unexpected turn when he entered the music world early, like really early. By the time he was 11, he had already joined a group called Immature. And just like that, his childhood turned into rehearsals, tours, studio sessions, and flashing cameras. They weren't just singing, they were becoming teen heartthrobs. Marques, known as Batman in the group, had already created an identity that stood out. With Jerome Romeo Jones and Don Half Pint Santos by his side, later replaced by Kelton LDB Kessie, they were everywhere, on your TV screen, on your radio, in the magazines. Immature was not just a group, they were a full-blown wave. And Marques, he was riding the front of it. But here's the shocking part. Even though the fame was real, so was the pressure. These were kids, but the business treated them like grown men. Long hours, tight schedules, and being around grown industry people at such a young age had its own hidden cost. Still, Marques kept climbing. By the early 2000s, Immature evolved into IMX. And then came the solo chapter. In 2003, he dropped the stage name Batman and went fully into being Marques Houston. It was like watching a boy turn into a man overnight. His solo debut album, MH, didn't just get released, it hit. With tracks like That Girl and Clubbin' with Joe Budden and R. Kelly, he was no longer just the goofy neighbor from TV. He was a serious R&B artist. Fans loved it. Billboard loved it. The music videos were all over BET. People said, he's arrived. But this is where it gets interesting. While he was busy proving he was more than just a teen star, the public didn't know that another kind of story was silently building in the background. As his solo career blew up, Marques dropped hit after hit, Naked, Sex With You, Circle. Every track was doing numbers. But around this time, whispers started around his close relationship with Chris Stokes, the manager who had been by his side from the beginning. The same Chris who managed Immature, the same Chris who helped him launch his movie career. People started asking questions. Why was Chris involved in everything Marques did? Was this just loyalty or something else? What made this story different? There were other former artists under Chris who stepped forward with serious allegations. Some said they experienced abuse. Some hinted at dark industry secrets. And Marques, he stayed silent. That silence made fans uncomfortable. They didn't know whether to support him or question everything they thought they knew. But the craziest part, even while all this controversy brewed, Marques was still booking acting roles, releasing music, and even producing films. It was like nothing could slow him down, or like he was running from something. Now let's dive deeper, because the second part of Marques Houston's story only gets more intense. While the world saw a smooth R&B star living the dream, the real story behind the scenes was darker, layered with tension, and filled with moments that made people stop and question everything. By the late 2000s, Marques was not only doing music and movies, he was now working closely with Chris Stokes behind the camera too. Together, they were making films under Stokes' production company, and Marques had even become vice president of footage films. It looked like a major level up, but while the career side was polished and presentable, the drama around his personal life and connections only grew louder. Remember those earlier whispers about Chris Stokes? They were no longer just rumors. Former B2K member Raz B came forward and made public accusations, saying that he had been abused as a minor while under Stokes' management. And here's where things got really twisted. Marques Houston was one of the names Rasby mentioned, not as someone who hurt him, but as someone who knew and stayed silent. Fans were shocked. Some believed it, others couldn't. Marques responded, but in a way that made things more confusing. He denied everything, of course, but he also called Rasby troubled and in need of help, which only fueled the fire. People online started calling him out. They asked, why would someone make this up? Why won't Marques address it with full honesty? Still, Marques continued with his career like nothing had happened, releasing independent films like Somebody Help Me and Will to Love, and even doing a few small music projects. But then, out of nowhere, a different controversy came up. And this time, it wasn't about the past. It was about who Marques Houston chose to marry. In 2020, the internet exploded when news broke that he had gotten engaged to a young woman named Mia Dickey. Why the uproar? Because when they announced the engagement, she had just turned 19 and Marques was 38. That's nearly a 20-year age gap. Fans did the math. They dug through timelines, and what they found made things worse. Mia had reportedly gone missing for a short time before reappearing, now suddenly in a relationship with Marques. People started asking, did they really just meet, or had they known each other while she was still underage? The situation got more disturbing when old tweets and posts were found showing Mia connected to Stokes' circle years earlier when she would have been only 15 or 16. The internet was now furious, calling Marques everything from creepy to predatory. Marques tried to clear it up in an Instagram post. He said they met through mutual friends, didn't start talking until she was 18, and didn't date until she was legal. But very few people bought it. The timing felt too suspicious. The connection to Chris Stokes made it even harder to ignore. And suddenly, Marques Houston, once a childhood star, adored for his charm and talent, became a headline for all the wrong reasons. Yet somehow, he stayed unfazed, or at least appeared to. He married Mia in 2000, and soon after, they announced the birth of their daughter. He posted smiling photos, family moments, loving captions, as if to say, I'm happy. I don't care what people think. But the damage was done. Fans were divided. Some walked away for good. Others stayed, hoping the truth would someday come out. Now let's move ahead, because the next part of Marques Houston's story took things to a whole new level of mystery and silence. By now, his reputation was already tangled in controversy. The public had seen the headlines, the age gap marriage, and the disturbing ties to Chris Stokes. But instead of fading away quietly or speaking out fully, Marques took a different path, one that confused his fans even more. After his marriage, Marques started pulling back from the spotlight. He wasn't doing music the way he used to. His film projects slowed down too. Social media was still active, but it felt like a carefully controlled window, always showing smiling family moments, nothing messy, nothing real. But behind those soft captions and filtered pictures, the silence was loud. Too loud. People online kept digging. They found old interviews, pictures, even legal documents trying to figure out who really is Mia Dickey. Strangely, there wasn't much. No real history before she was linked to Marques. No childhood photos, no school records. It was as if she had appeared out of thin air. That made the internet buzz even louder. Some even questioned if her name was real. Others speculated she was somehow groomed and hidden from the public until the right moment. And through all of it, Marques said nothing. But while the world speculated, one person broke the silence again. Rasby, he came back on social media with more statements, doubling down on the accusations, not only against Stokes, but again, hinting at Marques's knowledge of everything that had gone on during their teenage years. Raz looked exhausted, emotional, sometimes even paranoid in his videos. But something about him felt raw, like he was speaking from a place of deep pain. Some fans dismissed him, others started believing him more than ever. Things got even more eerie when Marques and Chris Stokes were spotted at church events, giving speeches and leading prayers. They talked about God's timing, forgiveness, and leaving the past behind. But people weren't buying it. For many, it felt like a tactic, a way to change the narrative to build a clean image again through religion. Some called it rebranding, others called it hiding in plain sight. Then came another twist. A young woman, unrelated to the Stokes circle, came forward on a podcast. She claimed she had once been in contact with people inside the industry who protected older male artists with clean public records but messy private lives. She didn't mention names, but her hints lined up closely with people like Marques. And while there was no proof, the pattern was becoming too familiar. Still, through it all, Marques stayed mostly quiet. His fans started to wonder, is silence protection or is it guilt? Every time he posted a smiling photo of his daughter or his wife, the comments were divided. Some praising him for being a good man, others calling him a fraud and manipulator. But Marques never fought back, never gave interviews, never tried to change the story. It was like he had made peace with the world misunderstanding him. Or maybe he was just hiding from a truth too heavy to carry in the open. But just when it seemed like the dust had settled, the final twist came. It started with a leak, not a dramatic press conference or an emotional confession, just a quiet, blurry clip that hit social media late one night and started spreading like wildfire. The video showed Marques at what looked like a private party or gathering. He wasn't doing anything criminal, but what stood out was who he was with. Chris Stokes was there, along with a few other familiar faces from the early 2000s music scene, men who had all faced whispers, rumors, and in some cases, direct accusations. The vibe of the clip wasn't illegal, but it was uncomfortable. People online said it looked like a circle, like a protected group that operated behind closed doors. The internet exploded again. Fans who had supported Marques tried to stay loyal, but it was getting harder. That image of him being just a quiet, peaceful family man no longer felt real. The pattern of secrecy, of avoiding hard questions, of only showing the good parts, it now looked more like a strategy than a personality. Around that same time, something even stranger happened. Mia, Marques's wife, deactivated her social media accounts. No explanation, no warning, just gone. The same woman who once posted carefully posed photos of her baby girl and praised her husband as her safe space had disappeared from the internet. That silence made everything louder again. People started wondering, was she okay? Was she being silenced? Was she ever fully in control of her choices? And then came the most chilling moment. A blog claimed that someone from Mia's distant family had spoken out anonymously, saying they hadn't been allowed to contact her since she was a teenager. According to the claim, Mia had been taken in by older adults at a vulnerable age and never returned to normal life. The blog didn't go mainstream, but the screenshots spread. And once again, Marques gave no response. The damage was done. Whatever was left of his clean image was now fully cracked. He wasn't canceled, but he was quietly removed from opportunities. Projects that had been announced months earlier vanished. No more interviews, no new music, no more red carpet appearances. It was as if the industry had finally decided to distance itself. Not because of something confirmed, but because of everything that wasn't. In the end, Marques remained where he had always stayed, in the quiet. No confessions, no denials, no drama, just silence. But now, the silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt heavy, filled with the weight of too many secrets, too many unanswered questions, and too many chances to clear the air that were never taken. And maybe that's the real twist in this story. Not a big scandal, not a final reveal, but a man who once stood in the spotlight, slowly choosing to disappear while the truth, or at least people's hunger for it, still follows behind.